Generation X to me is an interesting generation. I've always done, as a hobby, some study on sociology and psychological profiling, etc. You know, our generation has gone through some things that are quite unique to a lot of generations, in the fact that we have seen like so many boom and busts in such short time. The generation previous to us were probably the last that would, you know, do a job from day one and retire on that job, if not in the same building. I don't know what the figures would be, but I'd be very surprised if they were any higher than 30% of anybody in my age bracket that, you know, either left vocational school, high school, whatever, and got a job, and they're still at that job today. Most of us are on our third and fourth jobs, let alone even career changes. One of the positive things for this is that I think in life it's made us more adaptable. We're used to change, and it might be a little more of a normal thing for us to have to adapt or change to different circumstances, different wages. I don't know if there's any evidence of that yet, you know, to prove what I'm saying. I think one of the negative sides of that, though, is that you do tend to get wore out, as I'm personally finding. I'm on my 35th job since I've graduated high school, and probably on my 6th career as far as area and type of work. I'm probably a little bit more of an extreme case due to the personal circumstances that I've had in life, but I mean, I've been in restaurant, landscaping, agricultural, construction, automotive, sales, grocery, produce, and now I'm getting back into a different form of sales, real estate, manufacturing, and of course, is the other one that I was into quite heavily. And each area alone, there's so many things to learn, let alone each individual company. I mean, if you work in agriculture, that's one thing, but every farm does something different. And I've probably worked for about 7 or 8 different farms. I've probably been in 8 factories I think I've worked for. I think automotive, I think there was just the one shop. I was working in a body shop shortly after high school. I've probably worked for 6, 7, maybe as high as 8 or maybe 8 contractors in construction. Probably have worked for as many as 10 restaurants, plus I own my own. And all these changes that a person has to go through, all the different ways that everybody does everything, because everybody does something different. It's a lot of learning to go through in life, and unfortunately, your related experience, sometimes I find it can either make or break you. You know, like you know a lot of information, but that information isn't always applicable. It can be, but it's probably why I find myself being so diverse. You know, anything from fixing lawn tractors to, well, I was in the arts field too. I should mention that. I mean, I was in the music industry on an amateur level for a number of years. So there's also that field that I've been in as well. And I would know what it's like to graduate high school and either start a trade or a job or a factory, or go to college and then do something, and then at my age, you know, be at the point where you're looking at, you know, the midlife plans. You know, I mean, holy cow, if I haven't felt like I've been 19 all of my life, or 17, you know, when you're starting a job like a green thumb, you know, you walk in and you're like a dummy because you don't know what you're doing. All that knowledge, I'm always wondering when it's all going to come in handy. I mean, I can do anything from framing to, you know, some minor shingle work and stuff like that, to looking and caring for animals, hooking up plows on a tractor, to metal plating, you know, knowing how to deal with certain finishes and what problems are and what chemicals to use to treat that, you know. I mean, some of the chemicals I've worked with, you know, like, it's insane, but like, you know, the sulfuric acid and cyanides and all this, to metal stamping, you know, to know how to use a micrometer gauge, you know, to measure within 5,000ths. You know, I can do minor automotive repair. I mean, as far as my skills, because I was never able to advance in any particular field, that's the one frustrating thing I have, is because, I mean, I got into everything so far, but never enough to really finish it. And ironically, I've only quit, I think, 3 places. I think every other job I've ever had, I was laid off from, or the place closed. Some of them I might have quit but go to another place, like restaurants. Like, I obviously quit the 2 jobs I had to start my own business and whatever. Factory work, you know, I can run a forklift. I can, I know how to do minor setups on some dies, and some metal stamping. I've always, like I've just mentioned, with chemicals and how to handle certain chemicals, been trained with that. I even worked in a packer turkey processing plant. Not that there's a lot of skill involved in that job, but more labor, I guess you could say. I've been in telemarketing. I know how to deal with the public. I've been in customer service. So, ironically, a lot of the skills I have might actually help me in real estate. I can deal with people. I have some housing background. I've got sales experience. Because of my restaurant background, I can show people where to eat. It's a good restaurant. And if my car breaks down along the way, I might be able to fix it. Although the technical term Generation X, depending on where you research this, will give you different ages. But for me personally, I would consider Generation X to be somewhere basically between 30 and 40. In that general age bracket, give or take a few years. I think they did say born from 60, I think they say 65 through to 79. If you're born in there, you're actually considered Generation X. But if you can remember wax on, wax off, you're Generation X. If you can remember where's the beef, you're Generation X. If you've never heard of that, you're not Generation X. You're too young. So if you don't know how to use a dial phone, you are definitely too young.